Okay, so homework is running a little bit differently in Year 7 now. This is week 12's homework, and what you actually have to do is watch this video and look at how I do all of the questions from last week's homework correctly. And then you have to correct any mistakes that you made on last week's homework. So, to be clear on this week's homework is to correct last week's homework. And one of the problems we've been having as a Year 7 group is that if I ask you to correct your work and provide you with solutions, some of you have just tried the question again on your own and made the same mistake as you did last time. So what I would really like you to do is watch this video, rewind it, listen to it as many times as you need to, pause it, and then correct the homework mistake, and then press play and keep going. And the idea is that hopefully you'll have a fully corrected homework by the end of this video. I have handed out a sheet to each student, and that's your purple pen correction sheet. All of the corrections I'm referring to go onto that sheet, and if you run out of room, flip it over and work on the back. And you should correct as much of that homework as you can. So let's get on with it then. So this is going to be me showing you how to do all of last week's homework. 5 more than x. Now I did talk about this in the actual video itself. You can take x and you add 5. Let's have a look at this next one. 5 lots of x. Well, that is 5 multiplied by x, and it is important that you're not allowed to write x5. X divided by 5 looks like this. Oops. Let's just tidy that up a bit. There it is. X over 5. 5 less than x. Well, if x is here and I want it to be 5 less, I'm going to write that. X multiplied by x, the best way to write that is x squared. The square root of x is x under that special square root symbol. And then the most complicated of them, still fairly straightforward with this group though, if I write it here, x multiplied by y is xy, and it says all divided by a, so all divided by a. So that's how you do that. Question 2. Collecting, well, we've got 15 x's. If you were just to add them together, that's nice and simple. On the next question, our a's and b's are going to be dealt with separately, so the 6a if you add them together. But if I look carefully here, I've got minus b and add 3b. So actually if you do 3b and you take 1 away, you've got 2b left, and that answer is going to be positive 2b. If you think about it, I've got a positive number of b's. Same technique required on this next question. I've got 2 x's if you collect them together, but take care with your y's, because y take away y is nothing, so I don't need to include them in my answer. If you've put 0y, it is correct but unnecessary. Let's collect x's together first on this one. Careful with the signs again. 10x minus 12x is minus 2x, and then 10y plus 7y is plus 17y. That plus sign is essential. On question 3, it just says how many terms are there in each of these, so let's have a look. There was one term there, another one there, and another one there. Terms in algebra tend to be separated by plus or minus signs, so there's a term, a term, a term. So the first answer there will just be 3. There are 3 terms. Using that same technique, this whole thing is a term, and it's being added to this term. So there are 2 terms there. And actually, it's a bit of a trick, that last one. You might think there are 5 terms, but there's no plus or minus signs. That makes this thing here, all of that is a term. So there is 1 term in that question. Question 4. Now question 4 requires me to go onto another page to show you how to answer this, because obviously I don't have room to show my working out here. So what I'm going to do is just summarise the information. Hopefully you've written this down anyway, but I know I've got 5 people going on holiday, 3 children, 2 adults. The most important bit being the fact that I'm going to do 15% off the child price. So in a moment I'm going to do 15% of this and just work out what an actual child will cost that's not paying full price, because there's 1 full price child and then 2 at this reduced rate with 15% off. Also, 8 days, £12 each per day, so there's going to be 8 times 12, which is £96 spending money, but it says each person needs that. So I'll have to do 96 times 5, because there's 5 people going, and then add on the money for the gym for the adults. So if I just move to a blank page so I can start showing this working out, what I would do if I were you is actually say we've got an adult going on holiday, another adult going on holiday, a full price child going on holiday. Just tidy that up. There's my full price child. Now I need to work out a reduction of 15% for the child price. So if I said 15% of the child price, well, I like to draw these little boxes here. This is 10% and this is 5%. Now 10% of 300 is 30, and 5% would be half of that, which is 15. So I've got £45 knocked off the price of a child, leaving me with £255. So the first child pays full price, the second child and the third child all pay that reduced price. I've got another calculation to do. This is 8 days at £12 each, which is £96 spending money per person. There's 5 people. 96 times 5. Now you can do that any way you want. I'm doing it in columns. 6 5s are 30. 3 0 30. 5 times 9 is 45, plus the 3 is 48. So I've got £480. And look how I'm building up a list of costs on this side, which I'll add together in a minute. It says both adults go to the gym. £112 gym access for the week there, of the 8 days that they're on holiday. And if you add those together, do that carefully, you get £2,314, which is the total cost of the holiday. So the final answer to that question is £2,314, and that's come from adding together all of this. Right, let's go back and work on the next question. Estimation. We know this now. You've got to turn them into one significant figure rounded numbers. So first column's the units. So the nearest unit is 4. That's this one here. 3.8 rounds to 4. The 19.2 will round to 20. And on the bottom there, the first column's the tens. Nearest 10 is 10. 24 over 10 equals 2.4. On this next one, not much to do. Round it to the nearest whole number, 7. 7 squared, 49. And then I've just got a little bit of care required here. First column on this first number is the tens, so we've got 80. First column on this next number is the units, that's going to be 2. Put that in brackets. First column's the units, nearest unit is 5. First column's the tens, nearest 10 is 10. Bid mass time. This bit at the end here turns into 50. This bit in these brackets turns into 78, and you can do those together. And it just says subtract in the middle. That's the bit I'm going to do last to give me 28 as my answer. So that's it on that page. On to the last page. Hopefully, if you need to, you can pause this video, rewind it, and listen to the reasons that where my answers have come from, the methods required. Right, question 6. Calculations. Using fractions as discussed in class. 15 tenths times 9 tenths. Multiply your tops together. Multiply your denominators there. So there'll be 100 on the bottom. And 15 times 9 is 135. So divide 135 by 100. I'm going to leave my answer as 1.35. Question B, 14 tenths. Turn them into fractions. Divided by 2 tenths. Now what I would do here is keep the first fraction, because I'm dividing, change my sign, and flip the second fraction. And what I can also do now is actually cross simplify. And I'll just change to red pen just to do this. So if I said there's 110 here and 110 here, so the one they both divide by 2 diagonally, so there's 7 2's up there and 1 2 there, giving me a final answer of 7 times 1 over 1, which is 7. So that's my answer there. Same technique on question C, 81 tenths. Careful here, divided by 9 hundredths. And I'm just running out of space here, so I think I'll just move down a little bit. Keep the first one. Change the sign. Flip the second one. And let's cross simplify. There's a 10 down there, but there's 10 10s up there. There's a 9 9s on the top and 1 9 on the bottom. 9 times 10 is 90. That's my answer. And that's the end of the fractions bit. This one's just a simple calculation. So 15 squared is 225. So I've got 225 divided by 100. So I do my powers before I divide. 2.25. And the last one, bid mass time, 127. Add whatever 3 times 10 squared is. Well, 10 squared is 100. So 3 times 10 squared is 300. Giving me an answer of 427. That's it. If you are unsure what's going on this homework, basically, to sum it up, I've just done last week's homework, showing you how to get full marks. And your job is to get the little sheet I gave you in class and correct any mistakes you made on that homework. And that is due in on Friday.